Okay. This is Sarah, and I was in Tokyo this past week. It was insane. I had an amazing time. I went on this excursion to be part of the Future Innovators Summit, which is a philosophical event that brings a bunch of artists and philosophers together from all around the world, and it's held by Ars Electronica's Tokyo initiative. Everyone that was participating in the summit was part of one of 3 separate groups: public and private, Death Life in Tokyo, and then TechSkin. So I participated in the TechSkin group, which focused primarily on the future of wearable technology and what it means for humans to have a sense of skin. And all of us brought along with us some bit of our work to exhibit while this whole event was going on, which was really cool because I got to take Noodle with me again. And this is the 3rd country that he's been to. So before I left, I had to break him down again into individual pieces and wrap him up nice and safe inside of my panties and clothing, and then reassemble him once I got there. This event went on over the period of the weekend from Friday until Sunday night. And then I stayed an extra 4 days so that I could get my Tokyo on. So the first 3 days were, I guess, technically like working. I was doing the philosophy. I was a Velociraptor, yeah. And Noodle was art. He got to pose the entire time. The venue that they chose to hold this whole event at was called Tokyo Midtown, and it was located in Roppongi. And this was this big kind of business center that had, oh god, like shops and restaurants and a park and just a whole bunch of stuff around the ground level. And consequently that weekend there was also this big art festival going on too. The first full day that I was in Tokyo was Friday, and I got to reassemble Noodle out of his stasis and bring him down to the exhibition area, which was a really nice setup. It was in the mall. They had a bunch of nice scaffolding and pedestals for all of the artists to kind of place their idea children on. I got to set Noodle up in his little space, and he kind of posed and looked around curiously and was very well behaved, and that kind of just stayed active for people to come and view during the duration of the whole event. And then immediately outside of that mall scaffolding FIS setup area, there was an audience with chairs and a stage where the more formal presentations took place throughout. Altogether, it was a really awesome area that we got to mingle in during that whole summit. The first day on Friday was Excursion Day. We were invited to the area where all of the exhibitionist fashionistas walk around in order to be seen in their own unique fashion creations, and it's called Harajuku. That was fantastic. So during the day we got to maraud around there and get a taste of the whole Tokyo fashion vibe, and then that was supposed to feed some portion of our discussion. So Saturday it was get up bright and early and talk philosophy all day. My particular group, the TechSkin group, met in the middle of the mall, which was kind of cool. They set up a table literally in the center of all the shopping that was going on, and all of us sat around this round table with a chalkboard behind us and plenty of post-its, and we actively did philosophy in the wild with people shopping around us, and they were coming up and looking and listening and trying to figure out what the hell we were doing. So after all of this intensive discussion, my group had a night out on the town. And we started our evening going to this gigantic department store called Don Quixote, which the best way I can think of describing it is it was like Spencer's Gifts, but Japanese, but also food and electronics and sex toys and like everything you could possibly think of, just like mashed together in one like gigantic seizure-like ball, and 7 stories of that. Ah, there it is. Actually one of the things I was looking for. Do I want wasabi Kit Kats? Wait. Yeah? What is that?
Whiskey.
Whiskey. This is the disco panty section. Okay, I'm going up to the craft floor now, and I don't think I'm ever going to come back. Oops. I am doomed. We got our taste of Japanese, like, commercial culture And then we went to this really great smokehouse and had a fantastic long dinner after we were done like filling our faces with delicious smoked foods. We went to this place called, it was the Mori, basically it was the immediate area surrounding this building called Mori Tower. And that was an outdoor mall area with a theater and restaurants and just stuff happening. And since it was the art event, there was a ton of people walking around doing their whatever that they do. There was also a whiskey tasting at this Mori Center where there were, I think, 3,000 different Japanese whiskeys on this like glowing light pedestal that you could walk up to and like lift a little lid off of the snifter and then smell the whiskey, and then there was a placard in front of it that said like who made it, what it was aged in, how old it was, and then at the end there was a little bar set up where you could actually get like one of 6 different types of Japanese whiskey that they were promoting to kind of act as the nightcap for our evening out on the town. So the next day, Sunday, was presentation day, and we all met at noon, and we had just a few hours to come up with the way in which we were going to present all of our findings to everybody. And it was open format, so it was up to us to decide what we were going to do. The very first thing I did before we went and prepared our presentation was change out Noodle's socks, because when I was at that Don Quixote, like, Spencery type store, I found some egg butt socks. They're like these little like baby booties. So he had to have those for the last day. So I peeled off his Gouda feet socks and put these like egg, like Sanrio-y socks on him, and then went off and prepared my the final presentation with my group. I'm gonna actually compose a video that outlines this a little bit more. I'm gonna talk in detail about all of the ideas that kind of bounced around, at least the ones that were important to me. But for right now, all you need to know is that it had to do with yogurt and laptop computer voices.
Yogurt. Yum.
And the family tree. The family tree of all living things on the face of the earth. But most importantly, yogurt. I don't know if anyone got it, but I don't know, I think we did a good job. On Sunday night, we broke down the exhibit and I scooped Noodle up and I carried him back to the hotel and I tucked him in, and he was done being a little art baby, and I don't know, I was good to go. That was it. That was the end of the summit and my first, I guess, technical exhibition in Tokyo. We capped everything off at this really interesting Chinese cafe called Cafe 8 that had like dicks everywhere and like boobies hanging off of the wall. Like halfway through our dinner, I noticed there's like genitalia everywhere, and I was like, whoa. The food was really good, and supposedly that's a location that's like open all night, so you can kind of crash there and get your late night Chinese food like whenever you want. That was a good end to the whole sort of experience. And then I got to go home and I laid in bed all night and thought about what I wanted to do during the last half of my trip, because at that point the work was done. Like I could just go and be a free raptor in Tokyo. So I started planning where I wanted to go and what I wanted to see with the time I had left. I'm going to talk about that more in my next video. So long story short, the summit was awesome. I want to thank Ars Electronica and the Tokyo Initiative for putting together another fantastic event, creating a setting where I could meet more interesting people and giving me more ideas to help fuel my practice. Like, thank you for inviting me and allowing Noodle and I to be a part of that again. Thank you, thank you, thank you! So, in another couple days, a video about Shibuya and pizza. Shibuya pizza. Shibuya pizza. It's where you go to get your toes all oily.